here that we are navigating to this screen and we are passing as an argument, right, the ID of some course, and we would like to be able to display some details about that course in this screen, right? So now if you remember the list of courses that we're navigating from, right, this initial list of courses comes from a server, right, that I believe from this server right here, this endpoint, right? These are the courses that we are rendering. And indeed, those are indeed the courses that we are rendering. Notice that this ID is for 5500, and there it is, right? That's 5500, and that's the ID. Now, we also implemented a relationship between courses and other things such as modules and whatnot, but we'll do that in a minute. What we'd like to be able to do as when we navigate here, when we navigate to this course, we would like to be able to display some details. For instance, I'd like to be able to display that it is the course cs5500. And if you remember, there was an API that allowed us to, if you specify the ID of a particular array, right, you could retrieve that particular instance, right? So if I provide the ID here at the end, right, I can get that particular instance, right, for that particular course. So let's do that. Right? What we'd like to be able to do here in the course viewer, right, I like to be able to render the title of the course of here. So I like to retrieve the course ID and then use the course ID inside of the component to fetch that course and then display it as a title in the course viewer. All right, so let's do that. So how do we retrieve this course ID that is encoded in the URL from my component and then pass it? Maybe I could say course. Maybe I can initialize the course. All right, and that course might have some dummy title, some dummy course, right? And inside of my HTML, maybe I can render in H3. I like to be able to render course the title. Well, that's what I like to be able to do. Render course viewer, course title, course. Why are you not displaying course viewer component? Course. Why are you not rendering course? Oh, course equals. There it is, the dummy course. But instead of being this dummy data, I like to be able to instead fetch the one from the database, right, with the ID that I have. So to do that, right, there is a service, right, that allows us to parse, right, the URL for the information that we need, and that service is called the activated route. Right? Notice that there's a whole bunch of routes. There's this route and there's this route. And when it's this pattern, then this is the route that gets activated. Or when it's this URL pattern, then it's this activated route. And we want to be able to be notified about the information about the currently activated route. Right? So to be notified, we're going to ask here, we're going to create a variable called route. And then we'd like to be able to be passed an instance of the currently activated route, right, in the constructor, meaning when we get instantiated, pass us the instance that represents this singleton, right, that parses the route, the URL, and gives us information. So the type of the activated route is activated route. There it is. Once we have that route, right, in the initializer, or inside of our ng on init, which is the equivalent of the component mount, we can use that route and query it and say, one of the things that I like to see is, what parameters came along in the URL, in that route, right? And which routes do we have? Which parameters do we have? This one. The course ID is one of the parameters. You can have any number of parameters, right? You can have anything that starts with a colon, right? Is a parameter, and it's being passed to us through this params. This params is an object, it's a map, right? That we can retrieve, the course ID. And the way we do it is that that route can change over time, right? Sometimes it's this course, sometimes it's some other course, and the way we deal with that in React is that we have a component did update. Right? Remember, there's a component did mount, and then there's a component did update, and that component did update gets invoked whenever the properties change. Yes, for instance, when a route changes, right? When the URL changes, if you remember, that's how we handled it, right? That the course ID change or the lesson ID change, and we were notified through the course did update. So the equivalent of that is this params here. We're going to be listening for changes in the params. We're going to subscribe. We're going to subscribe to changes in the params. Whenever the params change, I want to be notified. Okay, and so the subscribe here is going to be putting a listener, right? It's, the parameters is of type observable, right? And we can pass in an argument here. The argument is going to be an observer. It's a function. It's a callback, right, that's going to be invoked every time the params changes, right? So, and when it runs, that function is going to pass us the latest params, the very latest params, the map for the params when this route activates. And then here we can do all sorts of things. One of the things that we'd like to be able to do, right, is we would like to grab the course ID. Okay, so the course ID is part of the params. Params is a map that's going to contain all the variables that are encoded in the URL. So we can say params sub course ID. Okay, I'm going to copy it locally. Object access via string is disallowed. Okay, maybe it wants to be like that. Like that. Okay, like that. Yes, they're equivalent in JavaScript. The dot notation and the square bracket notations are equivalent. All right, so now that we have the course ID, what we'd like to be able to do maybe is go and maybe fetch that particular information about that course. Right? We can say fetch, and that's the URL. Right? So we'll create here a string, and instead of hard coding the URL, I have the course ID here, so I can embed that. So this would be course ID. Right? That's going to go to the server. Is going to come back hopefully with a course object. And what we're going to do is that we're going to copy that into our local course. Okay. This course is not assignable to type title string. Actually, it is. I don't know what is validating. But anyway, let's see how if this blows up. So if we go back here, this course, this course title, dummy course. Oh, you know what I'm forgetting? The response. We need to parse this with JSON. There we go. Okay. Yeah, I hate computers. They're always right. What am I missing here? Semicolon? My lint is so adamant. Okay, there we go. Okay, there we go. cs5610. So if I go back and I click on this 1800, notice that it renders CS1800, right? Or CS5610. There it is. See that? Or Kingdom of Hearts course. Okay, Kingdom of Hearts. There it is. Okay, did that make sense? We were able to go fetch the details for that one course.